jumping right into something absolutely game-changing today. We're going to explore a framework that takes emotional intelligence, a concept that often gets brushed off as a bit abstract, and turns it into an observable, actionable science specifically designed for higher education leaders.
So, have you ever wondered why absolutely brilliant academic minds sometimes really struggle to lead? It's a paradox we see all the time in academia, right? You have these individuals with world-class disciplinary expertise. They are brilliant researchers, top-tier scholars, but suddenly they get promoted. They become a dean, a provost, or a department chair, and bam! They are immediately hit with these unexpected, incredibly heavy relational demands of leadership. And the kicker? They were never actually trained for it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. First, we'll examine the higher ed leadership gap. Next, we'll redefine emotional intelligence. Then, we'll reveal the academic framework itself, followed by how we apply it in real life. And finally, we'll look at the crucial role human resources plays in this whole transformation.
Section 1. The Higher Ed Leadership Gap, Navigating Uncharted Territory. It's absolutely crucial to understand the unique, complex ecosystem that academic leaders have to navigate every single day. The core problem here is systemic. In higher education, administrative roles heavily prioritize disciplinary expertise over emotional and relational leadership preparation, meaning leaders are promoted because of their academic brilliance, but they are rarely given any formal training for the emotional realities of guiding a massive, complex institution. And honestly, the pressure cooker is intense. Just look at the unique competing pressures higher ed leaders face. They have to navigate shared governance and respect academic freedom, all while managing severe enrollment stress, intense political scrutiny, and complex identity-based conflicts. When you put it all together, it becomes very clear that technical skills and academic credentials alone are simply not enough to survive in this environment.
Moving on to Section 2, Redefining Emotional Intelligence, From Trait to Behavior.
We really need a pivot here, because traditional EI often meets heavy skepticism in rigorous evidence-based academic environments. People want data, right? So the crucial point is this exact contrast. The old view treated EI as a vague, soft skill or a fixed personality trait, like you either had it or you didn't. It just felt too therapeutic for academia. But the new view, the one presented in our source material, redefines EI as concrete, observable, and developable leadership behaviors. It literally takes EI out of the realm of personality and puts it firmly into the realm of measurable leadership action.
All right, Section 3, the academic framework revealed, deconstruction and assembly.
Let's look at exactly how this theory is deconstructed and assembled into practice. The researchers actually reconstructed the classic 4 pillars of EI into a highly specific, context-driven acronym tailored just for higher education. These are the 8 dimensions: awareness, contextual understanding, accountability, discernment, empathy, mindful regulation, influence, and consistency. These 8 dimensions, they are the bridge between abstract theory and the messy daily realities of academic governance.
And this brilliantly illustrates how these dimensions map together. Notice how they flow so logically from the inside out. It's like building a house. You build a foundation of self and context with things like awareness and accountability, and then you move outward to connect and regulate with empathy and mindful regulation, ultimately executing transformational action through influence and consistency.
Section 4. Applying EI in real life, the framework in action.
But how does this translate from a nice diagram into the real world? Let's ground this theory in specific, relatable scenarios. Let's start with awareness. Imagine a dean who recognizes personal frustration bubbling up during really tense budget deliberations. Instead of just reacting, they intentionally pause to recalibrate. Here, awareness isn't just a feeling inside your head, it is a strategic, behavioral pause executed during a high-stakes financial meeting.
Next up is contextual understanding. Picture a department chair rolling out a new initiative. Instead of handing down a corporate-style mandate, which we know rarely goes over well, they frame the initiative with deep sensitivity to shared governance and faculty autonomy. This dimension ensures a leader's initiatives actually survive because it honors the deeply ingrained culture of the institution.
Now, what's really interesting is discernment. Consider an administrator postponing a high-stakes decision to gather more stakeholder input and data. While some people might see a delay as a weakness or a lack of decisiveness, in this framework, resisting reactive pressure and demanding evidence is actually an observable, highly effective act of emotional intelligence.
Then we have empathy. Consider a provost who acknowledges the very real strain of faculty workload without abandoning institutional accountability. This perfectly illustrates the delicate balance of empathy. It's about validating the real exhaustion of your staff while firmly maintaining your academic standards and role clarity. You can do both.
And let's look at mindful regulation. This is when a leader facilitates a contentious, heated meeting, but successfully sustains a respectful and solution-focused tone. By modeling psychological safety during a fierce debate, the leader prevents the erosion of trust and keeps the institution moving forward, rather than getting bogged down in the conflict.
Section 5. HR's role in transformation, systematizing success.
To ensure these behaviors scale across a whole university, we have to look at the organizational level. Let's move to how this builds sequentially across the talent lifecycle. Human resources can take this framework from just individual coaching and embed it right into the institutional culture. They do this step by step, making it part of leadership selection, embedding it into leadership development, reinforcing it through mentoring and coaching, measuring it during performance management, and ultimately securing it through succession planning.
It all culminates in this core takeaway from our source material. A leader's behavior is a primary driver of effectiveness in higher education. It's that simple, but that profound. In a complex academic organization, your technical skills might get you the job for sure, but it is your observable, emotionally intelligent behavior that will ultimately determine your legacy.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to reflect on regarding your own day-to-day interactions. In a higher education landscape defined by constant, unpredictable change, ask yourself, are your leadership behaviors merely reacting to the culture around you, or are you consciously applying the academic framework to transform it?